What's going on, family? You are now tuned into the All In Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Jenkins, and today is episode 12. And this episode, we are going to be talking about the answer that is you. You are the answer. Be the example you want to see. And so I really think that this is going to be something really empowering for all men, right? Because we need more men to lead in our society. We need more men to be mentors in our society. We need more men blazing the trail forward to doing the right thing on the right path in our society, right? And I know a lot of men are thinking like, man, well, that's not me. Some men are just sitting back thinking like, who's going to be the guy to step up and do the things to help us as men and just, fix all of these things and be the answer to these issues. But the answer is simply you. Right? Everybody is not going to do what I'm doing right now. Everybody is not going to be in front of a camera on a podcast speaking and doing all of these things or be out in the community. Every man is not going to be doing those things, right? But that doesn't limit your influence and what you are called to do as a man and the type of leader you are called to be, right? Because you don't have to have a whole bunch of money. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be some super powerful person that you think that you need to be. All you need is you. All you need is you, simply, right? There is people, men, young boys in your family. There are some at your job. There are some at the community centers, the people you're around, at the basketball court, at the baseball field, at the tennis courts, wherever you are as a man, there are men that are men, young men, or even older men, right? Maybe that have lost their way or trying to figure things out again in life that you can be an example to. And all you need is you, the influence that God has given you as a person. You might not be the influence for the guys doing something else, but there are guys around you who might look up to you, who might listen to you or hear you. You have younger cousins or little brothers that you can be an example for. It doesn't always have to be out front, in front of everybody, being famous and doing all of these things that you think that you need to do to be respected. No, if you are a good man, or even if you're trying to be a better man, you can serve as an example to those around you, the people, like I said, in your city, or you can volunteer, you can sign up to be a mentor, all of those things. You do not have to be, I know I keep saying it, but you really don't have to be this famous person or this person that always says or does the thing perfectly the way that you think somebody should be. You have a set of skills, you have influence, you have things that are inside of you that you can use to help the young people around you, right? And one of the biggest things that we'll need to do as men is you need to heal. You have to do the work on becoming better. And you don't have to be perfect, but you don't want to be a man helping other men or young boys out there, and you can barely hold it together yourself. You can barely do the right thing yourself. How can you teach somebody to follow the right path if you're not doing it yourself? It is not to say that you can't be doing something that is not good, but say, hey man, this is not good. This is not the thing to do. You need to go this way because this, what I'm doing is not the right path. Like, that's one thing, but still you want to at least be a man who is not only saying what's right, but doing the right thing. Right. And so we think that power is going to come from this guy that steps up and just does it for all the men. We have some phenomenal leaders out there for men, right? Me being one of them, while there being some other ones, but I'm not the only leader. And the only great leaders aren't the ones with a whole bunch of followers or social media. There are great leaders out there in the world. Whether you're a fighter, policeman, whether you are a lawyer, a doctor, whether you're on a production set, whatever you do, if you work a trade, if you're at a barbershop, if you're a basketball coach, you are a leader in society. And there are different tiers of leaders. You don't have to be this leader that has carried so much. Some leaders are just called to do those things that you might see as small. How are you influencing those boys in the basketball camp, the football camps, or when they come to the barbershop? What little bit of advice and wisdom are you giving them? You have something to give, and don't allow yourself to think that you have nothing to give. Don't allow the devil to trick you and think that you're no use. Because that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants us to feel like, you know, there's no use of us giving advice or being a good man. I might as well just do the wrong thing because that's easier, right? It's not easy being a good man and doing the right things, but it's well worth it. But like I said, we really need to make sure that we do the work on ourselves, right? That we need to be aware of what we're doing, what we're not doing. Is it time for me to be in this position yet? Because I don't want to talk a good game, but I don't live it. I don't want to be a person that says one thing, but I'm doing a whole nother thing, right? And so you also want to be a good leader, and being a leader is somebody who doesn't have to lead with their ego, who isn't trying to say, you do this, you a totalitarian where you just tell people what to do and you use your anger and your frustration and you take it out on people thinking that you're being a good leader, but you're not. Now, I have a different opinion when it comes to coaches like basketball coaches, football coaches, and things like that, because I play sports. Not saying that you need a coach with ego or who's disrespectful, but we know those different coaches and leaders might have a style that's a little bit more tough. And me personally, I don't think that is bad. I don't think that is terrible. Now, I really think coaches like that should, definitely encourage their players and things like that. But there are coaches who maybe go a little bit over the edge at some time. So hear what I'm saying and not what I'm not saying. Right. And so, yeah, you want to be a person who is humble. You want to be able to listen and uplift others. Right. Some men, a lot of us know what it's like to be put down or disrespected or talked at or talked down. Work on doing the work within yourself so that you can really encourage the younger people or those other men who really need encouraging words, because since you know what it's like to not be dealt with correctly, you know how impactful it can be for somebody to speak light into others and speak good things into others. And so that is very important. We don't want to focus on having a title or having people who are going to follow us and do everything that we say or want to just be like us. Want to just be a good example, be a good man, and be encouraged by people wanting to be a good man just because you're an example of being a good man, right? And so the influence you have can spark a generation, right? Sometimes we say, all it takes is one, but even if it's one you have, let that be a good focus for you, because the way you do one thing should be the way that you do everything, right? And it will manifest as such. The way you do things will show up in your life, and it will represent, how do I want to say this? The way you do one thing, it's how you do everything. Just like being disciplined. If you can't be disciplined with something small, then we know that something big you won't really be disciplined with, right? Because being a leader is a responsibility, right? And sometimes we might find ourselves in a position where we have more responsibility than we thought we had. But you're going to have to pray to the Lord and ask him to help you lead people the right way and do the right thing. And only by his strength will he guide you and keep you on the right path, even when you want to take a detour, because doing the right thing is not easy. It gets hard sometimes, man. And that's why a lot of men like to take the easy road out and do things that, they know isn't the best thing, but it's easier. It isn't so much pressure. I don't have to focus on the pressures of doing things right. Because when you don't do things right, it's an easier life. You don't have any people expecting things, or you don't have to hold up expectations even for yourself, right? Because it can get tiring. And I'm not saying to hold up expectations of carrying everybody and doing everything when it's overloading for you. But what I'm saying is, when you're doing the right thing and walking the right way, sometimes it can get heavy, because it's just, how can I explain it? Okay, this is a good example. At work, doing your job well, being on time, doing the right thing, it gets hard at moments, because especially when you see people not doing the right thing all the time, doing what they want to do or doing what's not good, Sometimes in your mind, you could be like, man, sometimes I just want to get up and be late for work like them. Sometimes I just want to do what I want, like this coworker, or say what I want. But it's not the good thing to do, because that's your reputation. What you do reflects who you are. It speaks to your character, right? It speaks to the type of person you are, the things that you do, how you do things, and how you see the world. And people will see that. People might not always say something, but people see how you do things, and people see how you maneuver. And silently, sometimes people will follow you and listen to you and say, man, I want to be like that guy. Like, I wonder what it takes to, really do that. Let me watch him. Let me see how he works. Let me see how he operates. Because it's truly an honor to be a man who does things the right way and lives a good life, and does things the right way. I don't know, we live in a world where we talk more about the bad men than we do the good, but shout out to all the good men doing the right thing all the time, and even not being a perfect man, because trying to be so perfect is tiresome, right? Because you try to show no flaw, and it's like, as people, we are flawed. Like, we are not perfect. We aren't always doing the right thing all the time. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we just drop the ball. But that doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. Like, things happen. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're upset. Sometimes you're annoyed. Sometimes it's a lot weighing on you. Sometimes you need to talk. Sometimes you need to put things down. And that's just how life goes. And so, as men, we want to think about the long term, right? We want to think about the long term and not just the short term, because a lot of times what have men in places where they're not really doing the right thing is they only think about the short term. And when the long term comes up, they think about, man, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do all that work. I don't, or it's overwhelming to plan for the future and do the right thing every day and prepare for that. It's just too much. A lot of men haven't been taught discipline, or they don't have the wherewithal to do the things that they need to do the way that they need to do it. And so it's very honorable that we live like this, right? And so one thing about being an example is that you are an anchor. You become grounded, right? And in a world where things are constantly changing and shaking up and things are happening, you are the same person with the same values, moving the same way. You might adjust and you might grow, but still you show up as a man who is a powerful example. You walk with humility, integrity, and you do things the right way, no matter what's going on, no matter what somebody's saying, what's happening, what's being done. You're the same person yesterday, today, and tomorrow, right? And so, I usually have here and there, I have some things that I have written down, but as always, we just kind of flow, man. I have a structure, but I kind of touch these points already here and there as I speak. But speaking about being the person that we need, right? When we are around younger people, right? Sometimes we need to think about us when we were younger, the guidance that we need. What would I have told my younger self? What did I wish my younger self had? What example did I wish I had? What didn't I see growing up? What do I feel like we need to see more of? Because I can be that example. I'm not just going to say it doesn't exist because it's not around me, or I haven't seen it, or it's not much of it. But who is the man that I want to be? What are the things that I want to do? Right? And when you get around these younger men, or even some older men or some boys, you don't want to be a person that lectures them or talks at them with all of these instructions about you need to do this and you need to do that. You need to have a relationship with people, walk with people, right? Lead them, guide them, help them in any way that they need, right? Because the best way that being an example works is when you thrive in those relationships of leading people and helping people in the way that they need to be helped. Life is already hard enough. The last thing somebody wants is somebody beating them down, yelling at them, or just trying to use their ego because they think they have money or influence or fame or power. and you're trying to tell somebody what to do or what they need to do or how they need to do. People do not want those things, right? And so another thing you can do is teach them how to lead others, right? Not only to be a man that is worthy of following, but teaching them how to even look after the next generation or the people around them. Because men, we often hold each other accountable and we want to, live better lives. We have goals and things that we want to do. And so one of the greatest things we can do is join each other in arms. I talked about community, right? We want to have that camaraderie where we can hold up a standard of walking together and being in relationships and doing things right and being good men, and not just letting things fall to the wayside and say, wherever this goes, it just goes, or just not having a structure or plan for anything. And it's not to say you got to be so tight knit with something, but we want to have a goal. We want to have a structure of what we want to do. What does our relationship look like? What are we doing in this moment? What is the goal? What are we doing here, right? And so that's pretty much it. One thing that I always say, right, is that the greatest leader is the greatest servant. We oftentimes think, like I said, leading is about telling people what to do, where to go, how to think. No, a leader is a person who makes everybody around them better. Oftentimes as men, we want to be the leader, but we don't want to we only want the positive. But when you know true leadership, you understand that there are things that go wrong. There are things that sometimes the leader has to take an account for, because the leader takes an account for everybody and everything that's going on. And so you can't just want to say all the good stuff that happens, that's me because I'm the leader. The bad stuff, that's on them. No, as a leader, you have to both carry the good and the bad, right? But you can't get so high up that you think that all the good things that is being done is solely you. And you can't get so low that you think that all the bad things that happen or all the things that go wrong are just me as a person. No, you don't want to be defined by what you do. You want to be defined by who you are as a person, your character, your values. And we're going to talk about those things and being a man and what it means to be a man and how manhood is evolving and all of those things like that. But listen, that's the topic for today. The answer is you. I want you to know that you are the answer to a problem in your state, in your city, in your school, at your job, in your family, wherever you frequent, the barbershop, your home, the recreation center. You are an answer to the problem that is around us. But first, let's make sure we do the work so that we can heal and be an example to the men around us. Oh, I hope I was talking into this mic, man, because I feel like I wasn't. But be encouraged, fellas. Be encouraged, because the answer is you. Be the example that you want to see. Even if that example is somebody you think that is rich and famous, you don't have to be rich and famous to make an impact. Anybody can make an impact. You just have to be faithful enough to step out and stick with it. And so with that being said, I'm your host, Michael Jenkins, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.